In the field of astronomy, almost all our data comes to us in the form of light. From the visible light we see each night as stars, to the incredible microwave background that has taught us so much about the beginnings of the universe, measurements of light are fundamental to astronomy. I was initially inspired to pursue a career in astronomy by observing the light from a pair of binary stars through a telescope. This system, called Alberio, has one bright yellow and one bright blue star, for which the colors are easily distinguishable to an observer. While looking through this telescope, my 11-year-old self knew that astronomy was the right field for me. Now that I have made progress in the pursuit of this dream, I have had the chance to better determine where I believe my place should be. The experience I have had have made it clear to me that my greatest passion lies in teaching and helping guide learners through their own study of our universe. One of the first moments that showed me this was while I was helping teach a lab where students observed Saturn through a small telescope. Even though it was a cold night, one student wanted to stay up on that roof, learn more about Saturn, and find a way to take a picture of what she had seen through the telescope with her phone. In that moment, the spark of her passion shone brighter than any star or galaxy in the night sky. As an astronomer, I have spent years examining the light from all kinds of incredible sources, but no light has been as bright or beautiful to me as the light I see in the eyes of a student that has just made a discovery. I hope that in my career as an educator, I can ignite these sparks in many of the students I interact with. Each spark I see ignited in a student has become a star in my night sky, guiding my way and encouraging me to continue. In order to learn more about how to create these sparks, I have worked carefully to study the teaching methods and practices of my own teachers. The lessons they teach me have become like the structures of the Milky Way, spreading out across my sky. As an undergraduate at Whitman College, I had two advisors, Dr. Moira Gresham and Dr. Andrea Dobson, who both have had huge influences on how I am currently trying to reach my students. Moira showed me the power of positive feedback by reminding me often and enthusiastically that I had the ability to succeed in my field. Even little things, like a smiley face on a good homework assignment, can mean the world to a student who feels they are struggling. Moira also introduced me to a style of active learning where students work in groups to solve problems at whiteboards. I got to experience how collaboration and showing others our work could help me deeply learn about a subject. Andrea's teaching method has also become a major part of the Milky Way-like structure that is spread out across my sky. The amount of compassion she showed her students taught me how important the affective domain is in teaching. Andrea also empowered me as a learner by entrusting all of her students with real data so they could solve real important problems, like finding the age of the universe and determining the orbital path of Mars. The excitement I felt when I completed these activities is something I strive to recreate for all of my students. After leaving Whitman, I moved to the University of Wyoming, where I began to get more involved in the teaching process as a graduate teaching assistant. Here I got to observe great teachers like Dr. Danny Dale and Dr. Chip Kobelnicki teach introductory physics in studio style. The studio physics classes integrate active learning by combining traditional lecture with the lab and discussion sessions, and have become bright comets leaving trails across my sky. Students transition between lab, lecture, and problem solving during each class meeting to fully immerse themselves in the subject, which allows for a more natural way of learning physics. The connections they make in lab are easily linked to topics covered in lecture and ideas explored in problems. As part of these studio courses, I worked with Danny Dale to develop a set of inquiry-based physics labs for the second semester of this course. These labs have students solve problems by utilizing the skills they had learned in the course without a cookie-cutter lab manual telling them what to do. By removing almost all of the guided instructions and focusing in on real-world applications, the students in this class got to see physics as not only a complex set of math problems, but also as a way of solving real-world problems that they might encounter in the future. For example, one lab has students determine which of three metals would be the best for building a steam heating system. Without any other guidance, the students have to struggle with relating what they learned in class to what properties of each metal would make it a good or bad heating system, and determine how they could measure these properties. Helping students make these connections has ignited many more sparks that have added a new set of constellations to my sky. In the summer after my second year, I got to participate in the Science Initiative's Summer Institute on Active Learning. The incredible time I spent working with many inspiring educators to develop a better understanding of active learning methods has become like an aurora surrounding my night sky, adding bright lights to every corner of my teaching philosophy. It was there I learned about all the different forms active learning can take and was inspired to create a set of astronomy activities using real data to investigate exciting topics for the summer general astronomy course. I hope to utilize what I learned in this process in each classroom I enter in the future. These are just some examples of how I have gotten a chance to develop as an educator and explore what the best ways to ignite these sparks in my teaching sky are. What I've discovered is that my students shine the brightest when they get the chance to explore and discover with my support. This has inspired me to always pursue techniques of active learning, getting my students interacting with science instead of simply sitting back and listening to a lecture. I believe that it is my job as an educator to give my students the proper tools to solve real problems using physics and astronomy, while also creating a space where safe failure and growth mindset are encouraged. For example, when teaching the summer non-major astronomy course at University of Wyoming, my students used data from telescopes, spectrometers, and papers to expand their knowledge. With minimal instructions, they were able to determine when a solar flare would reach Earth, measure the density of Saturn, and prove the expansion of the universe is accelerating. While they explore with my guidance, a multitude of new stars has burst into existence. I am new to teaching, so my sky is still fairly dark. But it will not always be this way. Each time I enter a classroom, I am more and more inspired by the incredible students I encounter. I cannot wait until the lights created by their passions fill my sky.